Hi, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how you can connect your old school turntable up to the new school Sonos wireless audio system. What we have here is a Fluence RT80 turntable with a Sonos Era 100 wireless speaker. Now this turntable is nothing special. It has just your regular RCA outputs on it. It doesn't have a USB output or anything like that. Just your standard RCA outs. It does have a line level output and a phono level output. It is critical that your turntable has a line level output. If it doesn't, you're going to have to get a separate preamp that will convert the phono out to a line level. But in this case, this model has that line level, so we don't have to worry about it. The other thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to pick up an extra component. You're going to have to pick up one of these. Now they are a bit pricey. I think this was $30 or $40. And this is what you're going to be connecting the turntable to, and then you're going to plug this into the back of the speaker. So I'm going to go ahead and show you all those connections, and then I'm going to show you in the app what you need to do in order to get the turntable to be recognized in the system. So let's first start out by taking our cable. It has a 3.5 millimeter stereo plug on one side and a pair of RCA on the other. So what we're going to do, we're going to just plug this into here, into our expensive adapter we had to buy. Now, one thing to keep in mind, there are cheaper versions of this adapter, but they do not do the same thing. The only one you are going to want to use is the one that is made by Sonos and sold by Sonos. You do not want to buy the cheap knockoffs. It's not going to do the same thing. So, with that being said, we now take this and we're going to plug this in to the back of our Sonos speaker. Now down at the very bottom here, there's a USB C connection. So we're just going to take this and plug it in, and then we're going to proceed to going around to the back of the turntable and connect the RCAs to the back of the turntable. And you can see here where I plugged in those RCA connections. It's just to the audio output. I also wanted to show you how this turntable has a phono out and a line out. I have it selected on line out. You would not want it to be on phono out. And if this was a turntable that did not have the line out and only had a phono, like I said earlier, you're going to want to get a preamp that will convert phono to line. The next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go into the app and configure the app. So let's go through that, and then we'll come back here and we'll start a record playing and see how it works. So now that you're in the app, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go in and tell the system that that speaker has a line in connected to it. So what you do is you go up to the gear in the upper right hand corner, then you scroll down to the speaker that you're working with, and in my case right now it's the living room, and I have it set up with a pair. I'm just showing you the very basic setup where it's just the one speaker, but if I had already created a stereo pair, which is what I did here, the line in would be on one of those speakers. So in this case it's on the right. So you come down to the line in and you can tap on line in here. You can come to the next screen. You can decide what you want to call this source. Now this would work for other sources besides a turntable. This could be any input that you could connect with the RCA cables. In this case we're talking about a turntable, so we're going to leave it like that. And then the next one is the source level. So this is how loud the output is going to be and you want it to try to match it with how loud it is when you're using your Sonos for streaming. Let's see. Right here, like for example, they have some predetermined levels for different things. Like an AV component is way up here at level 2. I can tell you that is nowhere near loud enough to match the same volume you get when you're streaming. So where that would become a problem is if you had your volume set to a certain level and you're streaming and then you went over to playing a record, it would be way quieter. So you'd turn that up and then you'd come back at a later time and decide you want to stream again and it'd be way louder. So I've learned that in most of these devices, you need to be close to this level 10 for that volume to be matched. So I have mine set on level 10. You will want to adjust that. I would suggest start a little bit lower and work your way up. But again, I found success up near levels 9 or 10. There's other things such as the audio delay. Now, this is basically the difference in time between when the source is playing the sound to when it comes out of the speaker. And the reason there's choices here is for any weak connections or any sort of interruption in the connection of the audio. So I've never had problems, honestly, at the lowest setting of 75 milliseconds. Otherwise, you start a record playing, if you had it, let's say, on max, that's 2 seconds. So you'd start a record playing, and you can kind of hear the record, the sound coming right from the record. And then it's 2 seconds until you start hearing it come out of the speaker. It's a delay. And that is kind of annoying. And to be honest, even at 75 milliseconds, it's a little bit weird, but you don't really notice it. But it's just, you don't want a delay of 2 seconds between the time you drop the needle and when you start hearing something. So I've always had success on the lowest setting, so that's where I have mine. And then there's autoplay. So autoplay is cool because you don't have to come into the app and select line in to start playing a record. You could literally be streaming something and you could decide, hey, let's listen to a record. You just stop the streaming, you drop the needle onto the record. As soon as it detects that audio output, it'll automatically toggle over to the line in. So you don't even have to go into the app to do anything. That is a nice feature. You may have to go into the app and pick whichever rooms you want to group, what other speakers you want to group, but that's beside the point. You don't have to go into the app to just start listening to a record if you have this autoplay turned on. And it's also nice, you can set an autoplay volume so that it'll just, when you start listening to a record, it'll just default to like a beginning volume, no matter what the volume was before. So somebody may have been cranking it up, streaming something, and you might come back in the next day to play a record and you don't want it blaring. It'll just autoplay at a normal volume or whatever volume you've determined. So that's really all there is to the setup in the app. Then when you go to play something, you find the speaker that you want to play it on, for example, the living room, and you start playing it. You drop the needle, it'll start playing. You can select other speakers to go along with it then. So you can play your records in all of these locations, which is really a neat feature. I mean, I don't know really any other systems that allow you to do that, where you can be listening to an analog source on your wireless speakers and have them all perfectly synced up together. So that is a really nice feature that these Sonos speakers have. The only thing that you're going to want to keep in mind is that one speaker needs to be close to the turntable. because one speaker has to be wired in. All the rest are connected wirelessly. So just the one speaker needs to be close enough to connect the cable. And you can get cables that are, you can get 6-foot cables pretty readily available, probably 10-foot, so you need to be relatively close in order for this to work. Now let's go over back to the record player and let's see how it works. All right, now let's give it a try. Let's turn the record player on. Let's position our needle. Let's drop it. And there you go. We have the sound coming out of our Sonos speaker system. So now the sound, you can set it up to play through whichever speakers you want in the app. So that's about it. Please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment. I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.